All right. So today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of large language models, or LLMs.
Sounds good.
It seems like you're really interested in how these LLMs can be applied to engineering.
Definitely a hot topic right now.
Yeah, for sure. And luckily, you've provided us with some great material to work with.
Yeah, we've got this All I News article. It's called Which LLM Should You Use? A Practicing Engineer's Guide to Choosing Wisely. Catchy title.
Yeah.
And then also you sent over this personal note.
Perfect.
So yeah, lots to dig into.
Yeah, let's start with the basics, though.
Sure.
What exactly are LLMs?
Okay.
So why should engineers even care about them?
In a nutshell, LLMs are AI systems.
Okay.
And they're trained on huge data sets of text and code.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes them capable of understanding and generating human-like language.
Like they can actually talk to us.
Kinda, yeah. It's pretty wild.
So what does that mean for engineers?
Oh, tons of possibilities. Well, we're talking like automating really complex tasks, creating more intuitive design processes, and even tackling challenges that like we couldn't even touch before.
The article even mentions how LLMs can speed up coding.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that sounds like a dream come true for any engineer who's ever spent hours debugging.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, imagine having an LLM that can not only identify those errors in your code,
right,
but then it suggests fixes
Ah.
or even writes entire blocks of code for you based on what you tell it to do.
So it's like a coding assistant.
Basically. Yeah, and that's already happening.
Okay.
It's just the beginning.
Okay, so we've established LLMs are powerful.
Powerful is an understatement.
But the article makes it clear there are a ton of different LLMs out there.
Oh, yeah.
Each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly.
So how does an engineer even begin to choose which one's right for them?
Well, the article does a pretty good job of breaking down some of the top contenders.
Okay.
But it's important to remember that the best LLM really depends on your specific needs and priorities.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Not at all. It's kind of like choosing the right tool from a toolbox.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah, you wouldn't use a hammer for everything, would you?
Definitely not.
Same with LLMs.
All right, so let's dive into some of these specific LLMs then.
Sounds good.
The article mentions Gemini 2.0.
Okay.
But it comes in two versions.
Right.
Flash Experimental and Experimental Advanced.
Yeah, what's the difference between those two?
That's what I'm wondering.
So think of Gemini 2.0 Flash Experimental as like the speed demon.
Okay.
It's all about speed and efficiency. Optimized for tasks that need like super quick response times, real-time simulations, generating code snippets, that kind of thing.
So if you need an answer fast, this is the one.
As long as you're not doing anything too complex.
Got it.
Could be a good option.
And what about Gemini 2.0 Experimental Advanced?
That's the heavy hitter.
The name kind of gives that away.
This one is built for large data sets and those really complex challenges.
Like what?
Like natural language understanding.
Okay.
Complex problem solving, that kind of stuff.
Sounds intense.
If you're designing a new algorithm or analyzing huge amounts of engineering data, this might be the better choice.
Makes sense. So if I need to stay on top of the latest news and trends, like maybe there's some new regulations in my field or new research is coming out all the time.
We're going to want Grok 2.
Grok 2.
That's the one the article mentions. So this one's always learning. Always updating its knowledge base.
So it's like the LLM that's constantly reading research papers.
Exactly.
And industry news.
Yeah, if staying ahead of a curve is like critical for your work,
then Grok 2 is your best friend.
Pretty much.
Okay, and then of course there's the LLM everyone's talking about.
You mean GPT-4?
The one and only. The article calls it a superstar.
Rightly so.
So what's so special about it?
Well, it's known for its versatility and multimodality.
Multimodality. Is that like when my phone could do a million things at once?
Kinda. I mean, it can handle both text and images.
Wow.
Which is a game changer for engineers.
Give me an example.
Imagine you feed GPT-4 a complex engineering diagram.
Okay.
And then you ask it to extract specific measurements, generate a 3D model.
Wow.
Or even simulate different stress scenarios.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
All right, let's talk about ChatGPT 1.5 Pro.
Okay.
And Gemini 1.5 Pro.
Another popular one.
The article highlights both of them, so how do they stack up?
Well, they both have their strengths.
Okay.
So ChatGPT 1.5 Pro, it's known for being really resource efficient.
Okay.
And cost effective.
So like easy on the budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might not be as fancy as some of the others, but it's a solid choice for those common engineering tasks.
Like what?
Like generating code, translating technical documents, or summarizing research papers.
Sounds pretty useful.
Yeah, it's a workhorse.
And what about Gemini 1.5 Pro?
What are its superpowers?
Yeah, sets it apart.
One of its standout features is its large context window.
Context window? What's that?
So basically, it means it can process and understand really long chunks of text or code.
Oh, so like if I'm working on a project with a huge code base.
Exactly.
Or need to analyze some long technical documents.
Yeah, Gemini 1.5 Pro could save you a ton of time and effort.
Wow, so it's like having an AI that can read and understand whole textbook in one go?
Kind of, yeah. It's pretty impressive.
So just from what we've discussed already, it seems like there's no shortage of options when it comes to LLMs.
That's one way to put it. We haven't even touched on some of the other interesting ones mentioned in the article, like Llama 3.2, MAI 1, Phi 2, and Phi 3.
Oh, right.
And then there are even more specialized models.
Interesting.
Like Turing models and spreadsheet LLM.
Spreadsheet LLM. That one sounds pretty specific.
It's designed to analyze and understand spreadsheets.
Wow. So before we get totally lost in the sea of LLMs.
Yeah, good idea.
Let's take a step back.
Okay.
And look at your personal note.
Write your note.
Yeah. What specific engineering projects are you working on right now?
So it looks like you're working on some pretty fascinating projects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Involving analyzing large data sets of geospatial data and collaborating with teams on these really complex infrastructure designs.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely keeps me busy.
I bet. Yeah, that sounds like it could really benefit from some of these LLMs we've been talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially the ones that can handle like huge amounts of data and those really complicated tasks.
Right. Yeah, the ability of LLMs to analyze geospatial data.
Yeah.
It's opening up all these new possibilities.
Like what?
In fields like urban planning, environmental monitoring, even disaster response.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, like imagine using an LLM to analyze satellite imagery and then predict areas that are at risk of flooding or wildfires.
That's incredible.
Powerful stuff.
So for your work with geospatial data,
yeah,
what specific features would you be looking for in an LLM?
Well, obviously, the ability to handle those large data sets is key.
Right, like we talked about.
But also, an LLM with a strong foundation in special reasoning and image analysis would be ideal.
So something like GPT-4?
GPT-4 could be a good fit.
With its multimodal capabilities.
Ostensibly.
But we should also consider models like MAI 1.
Right.
Which is specifically designed for massive data sets.
Yeah, good point.
And what about collaboration?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Are there LLMs that can help with teamwork?
Definitely.
Especially when you're dealing with like these complex infrastructure designs.
Yeah, that's where LLMs with strong natural language processing and large context windows.
Those things. Yeah.
Yeah, they really shine.
How so?
Imagine being able to like feed an LLM all of your project documents, design specifications, even team discussions.
Wow.
And then you ask it to summarize key decisions.
Okay.
Identify potential conflicts.
That's smart.
Or even suggest alternative solutions.
So it's like having an AI project manager.
Kind of, yeah. It can really streamline communication.
And make sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly.
It sounds like Gemini 1.5 Pro with its large context window could be good for this.
It could, definitely.
But what about Claude 3.5?
Oh, yeah, that's another good one.
It also has a massive context window.
Right, and it's known for that immediate visual feedback.
So, like, I can actually see the design changes.
As you're discussing them with your team.
That's next level.
It's pretty cool.
So these LLMs, they're not just automating tasks.
Right.
They're actually enhancing collaboration.
And creativity.
Exactly. And the Online News article really emphasizes this.
Yeah, they talk about how the real power of LLMs is to like augment human capabilities.
Not replace them.
Right. It's all about finding that right balance.
Between human expertise
and AI assistance.
Like having this powerful tool that extends your reach.
Exactly.
And allows you to do things you never thought possible.
It's a pretty amazing time to be an engineer.
It really is. And these LLMs are just going to keep evolving.
Oh, yeah. The field is moving so fast.
New models and capabilities are coming out all the time.
It's hard to keep up.
I know. It makes you wonder what the future holds for engineers working with these increasingly powerful LLMs.
It's exciting and a little bit scary.
I agree. It's like, we're on the cusp of a new era of engineering where the boundaries of what's possible
are constantly being redefined.
It's mind-blowing. But with all this potential...
Yeah, there's a flip side.
Comes responsibility.
Right. The article talks about this too.
Yeah.
They urge engineers to stay informed about the limitations of LLMs and to always prioritize human oversight.
And ethical considerations.
Exactly. We can't just get caught up in the hype.
Right. It's easy to do that with new technology.
It is. We need to remember that LLMs are tools.
And like any tool,
they can be used for good or for bad.
Exactly. So as we start to wrap up our deep dive into this LLM landscape, what are some key takeaways for our listener?
Well, first off, I think the biggest takeaway is that the LLM landscape is incredibly diverse. And it's changing all the time.
Like we've been saying.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
So you really have to do your research.
Exactly. The best LLM for you is going to depend on your specific needs.
Your priorities.
The types of projects you're working on.
And the second takeaway.
The second takeaway is that LLMs are powerful tools.
Absolutely.
They can augment human capabilities in incredible ways.
From automating those tedious tasks.
To facilitating collaboration.
Enabling new forms of creativity.
LLMs have the potential to revolutionize how engineers work.
No doubt about it.
It's a really exciting time.
But it's important to approach these technologies with a critical eye, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Consider both their potential benefits
and their limitations.
We need to be mindful of the ethical consideration.
Of course.
Make sure these powerful tools are used responsibly.
For the benefit of all.
Speaking of human expertise,
yeah.
Before we sign off, there's one more aspect of this whole LLM landscape that we haven't really touched on.
Okay, what's that?
Amazon Web Services?
AWS.
Or AWS.
Right. The article mentioned them briefly.
Yeah, but I think it's worth exploring a little further.
Okay.
Especially considering your work with large data sets and these complex projects.
Yeah, AWS is a major player in the LLM space.
They offer a whole suite of services and tools for working with LLMs.
They do.
Including their own family of models.
Like what?
The Amazon Titan series.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But what's interesting is that AWS gives you access.
Okay.
Not just to their own LLMs.
Right.
But also to foundation models from other leading AI companies.
Like who?
Like AI-21 Labs.
Okay.
Anthropic Stability AI.
Wow. So it's like a one-stop shop for all your LLM needs.
Kind of, yeah. It really is.
So how do AWS's offerings compare to the LLMs we've been talking about?
From Google, Microsoft, and Meta.
Especially in terms of like their capabilities for handling geospatial data.
Facilitating collaboration.
And addressing those specific challenges of your engineering projects.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
A lot to think about.
It seems like this LLM landscape is just constantly expanding.
It is. It's moving so fast.
More and more options for engineers looking to use the power of AI.
And not just engineers.
Right. Everyone. It's like having this whole buffet of AI tools at your fingertips.
And the menu is always changing, too. It's crazy.
Yeah, no. But that's a good thing, right?
Well, definitely. I mean, this accessibility is leading to like a democratization of AI.
What do you mean by that?
So it's no longer just something that big tech companies can do.
Okay.
Smaller teams. Even individual engineers can now access and experiment with these really powerful tools.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. It opens up so many possibilities for innovation.
Especially for engineers who are working on projects that are really pushing the boundaries.
Exactly. Like imagine an engineer in a remote location somewhere working on a sustainable infrastructure project.
Right.
And they have very limited resources.
Right.
But with access to these cloud-based LLMs, they can leverage the same cutting-edge AI capabilities as like a team in a well-funded research lab.
So it's like it levels the playing field.
Exactly.
And it's not just about engineering either.
Right.
The article talks about how LLMs are impacting pretty much every industry.
I mean, healthcare, finance, education, entertainment.
It feels like we're at the start of something really big.
Doesn't it? It reminds me of like the early days of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
When people knew something big was happening, but nobody could have predicted how much it would change our lives.
That's a great analogy.
It really is.
And just like the internet revolutionized communication and information sharing, LLMs have the potential to revolutionize how we approach problem solving.
Decision making.
Even creative expression.
It's exciting.
And we're just getting started.
Oh, yeah. We're only scratching the surface here.
As these models keep learning and evolving.
Who knows what new applications will come out?
It's like we're saying, okay, show us what you can do.
Right. But we can't just trust these tools blindly.
Of course not.
We have to understand their limitations.
Their potential biases.
And the ethical implications.
Yeah, for sure. That's why it's so important for engineers.
And really anyone working with LLMs.
To stay informed.
Engage in these conversations.
About responsible AI development.
Absolutely.
It's about finding that balance right. Harnessing the power of these technologies.
But making sure they're used ethically.
For the benefit of everyone.
Well said.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this LLM landscape, what's like the one big takeaway?
For our listener,
yeah,
I'd say the most important tool in your AI toolbox is your own critical thinking and judgment.
You mean don't just blindly trust the AI.
Right. Experiment, ask questions.
Push those boundaries.
But always be thinking critically.
Questioning the outputs.
Considering the bigger picture.
It's like having a really powerful new apprentice by your side. You wouldn't just hand them the blueprints and walk away.
No, you'd guide them.
Teach them.
Make sure they're using their skills responsibly.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
So to our listener, who's probably full of ideas and questions after this deep dive.
Keep exploring. Keep learning.
Keep pushing those boundaries.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be the one to discover the next groundbreaking application for these amazing tools.
Until next time.
Happy experimenting.
Keep diving deep.